Hey guys, Arena Stories here, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can beat every class in SOD as a rogue in phase 3. First off guys, we have a Retribution Paladin. We're going to open up with a cheap shot into a mutilate. We're going to wait for our energy tick. We're going to go for a full between the eyes. Now our main purpose here guys is to make him bubble and have a clean reset. Now he's bubbled. We're gaining a considerable amount of distance here. We reset. We're just waiting for that bubble to come off. It does come off. We are going to go in for a cheap shot. He does use his human racial, and I do not have my trinket here, guys. And I just want you guys to notice how much damage he can deal within 3 seconds of that stun. 60% of my health is gone within that 3 seconds, which is why I always tell you guys, always stack stamina when you are PvPing for situations like these, because if you do not, you can just get one shot within one stun if you do not have your trinket. Now I am going to have to vanish here. Cheap shot, go in for a mutilate. Go in for a kidney shot, mutilate. Now he does not have his trinket as well, so it's fair game. I go in for a full blind. I do fully bandage here. We're going to come back in, cheap shot, eviscerate, and he will go down. Now I'll be showing you guys a second example for Retribution Paladins. And I want you guys to know something really important. On the top left corner of the screen, you can see my energy add-on. Now, if you do not have this, guys, please do get this add-on. It is extremely important and advantageous when you are PvPing. Now, whenever you do open on your target, you always want to wait on the last second on the energy region. We do go for a cheap shot into a mutilate. We go for a kidney shot. It does miss, guys. Now, this is an issue, so we are going to have to maneuver around this. So we're going to have to evasion here, go in for an eviscerate. He will bubble. Now, the one mistake I do here, guys, is that I do not sprint and vanish because they do have an AoE to get you out. Now a mage does interfere the fight. I am going to have to blind him, use preparation, gain distance here with an evasion. I am basically just stalling. Now the mage will set that ice block. I'm going to have to vanish, cheap shot the paladin, going for a full kidney shot, blind the mage. Now I have lost a significant amount of energy, so I cannot kill the paladin instantly here. So I am going to have to back away in order to recover my energy. I do shadow step, kick that heal, mutilate into an eviscerate, and he will go down, guys. And the mage will run. Now I'll be showing you guys a third example versus Retribution Paladins. Now this is the best case scenario whenever you are fighting a Retribution Paladin. We are going to go in for a cheap shot into a kidney shot, and the Paladin does pop, guys. Now the first thing you want to do is blind him. Now for those of you who are new to rogues or just do not know, in vanilla WoW, your blind is not considered a physical attack. It is considered a poison, so it will go through bop. If he does decide to trinket blind, it is a double win, guys. Now we costed them a bubble and a trinket. Now I'll be showing you guys a fourth example versus Retribution Paladins. Now you guys might be thinking, why are you showing us multiple examples of the same class? The reason why, guys, is because it is different scenarios, and I want you guys to be prepared for each and every different scenario that you're going to have, because not every encounter is going to be the same. We're going to open up the same way, guys. We're going to go for a cheap shot. We will go in for a full kidney shot. He will bubble that. We do evasion. We sprint away, vanish. Now that was a clean getaway, guys, but I did not notice. Proc from the Paladin's sword was a debuff that has a ticking damage. So I will come out of stealth here, unfortunately. I will gain distance, and the one thing I want you guys to notice as well, whenever you are fighting Paladins, you do have the advantage in the fight because you do have movement and control. So you can disengage in the fight whenever you see fit and re-engage whenever you feel like you're ready. So we do gain a re-stealth here. He does not have a bubble. We go for a cheap shot, mutilate, and it's pretty much over, guys. Next up, guys, we have warriors. Significantly easier than fighting a Retribution Paladin, and again, you as a rogue have the majority of the control in this fight. Now why do I say that, guys? It's because you can play the dead zone, you have slows, you can vanish, you have a blind, so you have majority of the control. Just gonna wait for our energy tick, open up with a cheap shot, going for a mutilate, and going for a full between the eyes. Now this warrior decides not to trinket this, which is a smart but risky move as well, because he will be saving it for blind. Now I will play the dead zone here, guys, come back in, vanish. He will use an AoE shot. I'll just completely slow him. I will go in for a blind here. He will trinket that, guys, but it is already too late. Since he's already too low, we're going for a mutilate, and he will go down. Now for the next example, guys, I am going to be fighting a tank warrior here. He was lucky enough to have a lot of loot from Sunken Temple pretty early. This was in week 1. One thing I wanted to note that is extremely important, guys, for those of you who are new or just not aware, Taurens in vanilla WoW, and only in vanilla WoW, have an edge when it does come to melee range. Now it is a bug, guys, or Taurens, especially warrior Taurens, have an edge when you do try to dead zone them. They can hit further than you think, which can possibly end the fight completely. So it is a dangerous game. So when you do fight a Tauren, guys, you want to keep the perfect amount of dead zone against them. Now, as always, we want to go in for a cheap shot, a mutilate, The main thing we want on him, guys, is that slow. We're going to go for between the eyes, regain energy, go in for a mutilate, completely dump our energy on him, play the dead zone here. He's already at half HP. We will go for an evasion. Now it is safer to evasion against a warrior that is a tank, guys. Reason why is because he cannot overpower you. Now we will just keep a slight distance here. We are going to apply rupture on him, play the dead zone against him, just regaining our energy here. Go in for a quick draw to keep him in combat, keeping him from charging us. Now we will go in for a kidney shot, double mutilate, go in for a blind to play it safe, bandage completely, and it is pretty much over, guys. We are going to re-stealth, cheap shot, rupture, mutilate, gain distance, quick draw, and he will bleed out here. Now I'll be showing you guys a third example against arms warriors. We are going to wait for our energy tick, come back in, cheap shot, into a mutilate. Again, the main thing we want on him is that slow. We will go for between the eyes. It will resist, sadly, guys. And as you guys can see, one crit, he does crit me for almost 700 damage. We will evasion to avoid the next hit. We will rupture him, gain distance here, play the dead zone because we have to. Now we will keep him on combat here, guys, but he will use Warbringer to get us out. Now, one really important thing I wanted to mention, guys, is that if you are not an undead rogue, I would never suggest trinketing a charge. Reason why is because the warrior will just save his fear, basically fully bandage, and charge you again regardless. So unless you are playing an undead rogue, or if you are playing with the Bis engineering wrists that can remove fear for up to 15 seconds, only then can you afford to trinket this charge, because the charge can be a bait sometimes to scare rogues into using trinket, so they can just fear them, bandage, recover, and kill the rogue. Vanishing, going for a cheap shot, trying to gain control here. We are going to play the dead zone again. He does not have his trinket anymore, so I am going to go for a blind and fully bandage here. Going to take our time. I am going to go in for a full between the eyes. It does resist, guys, and I will go in for a quick draw. That misses as well. We are going to shadow step, try to apply those poisons. Now this is the scary thing I was mentioning, guys. As you can see, I am fully feared for 8 seconds. He can just bandage, gain distance, charge me, but I am an undead rogue, so I can afford to remove it. I come back in and I finish him. Next up, we have Enhancement Shaman. So for Enhancement Shaman, guys, you want to start off by sapping him if he is not in wolf form, and then start breaking the totems. Now, once you've broken all his totems, just re-stealth again, guys. Once you've broken his totem, guys, you can just take your time, re-stealth, wait for the energy tick, go in for a cheap shot, into a mutilate. Now I want you guys to notice something extremely important here. Why am I taking damage here, guys? For those of you who do not know, shamans actually get a rune, which is an improved version of lightning shield, which can actually kill you. So as you can see here, I take 184 in damage, and I've already lost 20% of my HP without him even having to touch me. Now I will go in for a full kidney shot. He will trinket the kidney shot, guys. He will go for a flame shock. Now since he's used his trinket, we can just go in for a full blind, reset completely. Now that we know he is playing with that rune, we have to play extremely careful. We cannot just auto attack him, guys. I am going to go in for a full bandage, re-stealth, wait for the energy tick, and then we are going to open up again. But this time, guys, I am going to open up with an ambush instead of a cheap shot. Now why do I do that, guys? It is because you do not want to be auto attacking him, because the trade-off in damage is just not worth it. It is because we'll most likely lose 30% of my HP within all these stuns, maybe even 40%. So when you are fighting a shaman like this, guys, who is playing with this rune, you are just going to want to damage him and back away. When I say that, guys, and what do I mean when I say that, guys? I mean you do not want to be auto-attacking him. Use your abilities like mutilate, stuns, or eviscerate, but you do not, under any circumstance, guys, only if the shaman is playing with his rune, you do not want to auto-attack him. Go in for a mutilate, and I immediately back off, guys. Now again, why do I do this? It is because I do not want to auto-attack him. If I auto-attack him, I will most likely lose 500 HP just from the auto-attacks. So we want to gain distance here to regain our energy. We just want to hit him with our abilities. Going in and out, we're going to come back in, mutilate him, and go in for an eviscerate. You guys notice my HP at the end. The majority of that was just from the lightning shield rune. Now I'll be showing you guys another example, but this time the shaman is going to go in wolf form, and what you guys are going to want to do is auto attack the poison totem, go in for a blind on the shaman, break the totems. Now if he does decide to trinket, guys, you can just vanish, cheap shot him, or in my opinion, if you have the cooldowns, I currently do not have the cooldowns for it, just gouge him, sprint away, and reopen. but he does not decide to trinket this. Back in stealth, cheap shot. Now this shaman is playing with that rune as well, guys. As you can see, I just lost 20% of my HP with just one attack, so we're not gonna auto attack him here. I go in for between the eyes, shadow step, going for an eviscerate. Sadly, it was not enough damage to take him down. He is using the rune, which prevents him from being slowed, but it is already too late since he is already too low, and we have between the eyes in order to stop any healing he might have, which is why I always recommend you guys play with both kidney shot and between the eyes. He will try to slow us here, we will go in for a stun, but it is already too late. I'll be showing you guys another example. We are going to want to auto attack the poison totem in order to go in for a full blind. We break it, we go in for a full blind, we break the fire totem. We are going to gain re-stealth again, go in for a sap. We want to wait for that energy tick, guys. Cheap shot, mutilate, gain distance between the eyes. He does trinket this, we do vanish immediately, guys, regaining our energy and not taking damage. We will sap him again, guys, break the totems again here, and just open up with a clean slate. Bandage completely to recover. Re-stealth again, waiting for the stun DR. Our cheap shot does resist, he is an orc, we will evasion, go in for a double mutilate, go in for a kidney shot. Now since that stun did resist, we're going to have to reopen again, guys. Now why do we do that? It is because they are extremely tanky. Put up with a cheap shot again, and as you guys can see, for a second time it does resist. So I am going to have to vanish here, cheap shot him, go in for a mutilate, a full between the eyes, mutilate again, gain some distance here to avoid getting hit, shadow step back in, go in for another mutilate, and he will go down here, guys. I'll be showing you guys another example, and again I am showing you guys multiple examples deliberately in order to teach you guys what you can do in different situations. And we have a shaman who is in wolf form, but he did not put his totems down, so we're just going to open up, go in for a mutilate. I want you guys to notice what happens when you just auto attack. I am deliberately auto attacking him here, guys, to show you what happens when you do not back away and just auto attack. You can already look at my HP. I'm already dying just from this rune, and I will continue attacking him, and I will die here, guys. Again, I am deliberately doing this just to show you guys what happens if you do not back away. The exchange of your auto attack damage and his rune damage is not worth it, guys. I'll be showing you guys another example again. We are going to break the totems as usual, wait for our energy to regain, re-stealth, go in for a cheap shot, a mutilate. Now as you guys can see, the amount of damage I already took, I already lost almost 30% of my HP without him having to even touch me. Again, we are not looking to auto attack him, guys. We will go in for a full blind. We do have flame shock on us, so we are just going to want to come back in, go for a sap, break the totems, and bandage. As you guys can see, the rune is extremely powerful. Again, you do not want to auto attack. We're going to go back in, go in for a cheap shot, mutilate, no auto attacking. We go in for a between the eyes, it does resist, we vanish, shadow step, he does gain distance, we go for an ambush, and he will go down. Now for the final example for shamans, I'm going to show you what happens when things do not go according to plan. So this is a Tauren shaman as well. I've said previously, shamans do have an edge when it comes to melee attacks. They do have a range that is much further, so do not be deceived, guys. So we are going to want to come in, sap, break the totem. Our sap sadly does break here, guys. He does go for a decoy totem. For those of you who do not know what decoy totems are, they can basically eat your next attack, whether it is an auto attack or a stun or a blind. You go in for a gouge. Sadly, the totem does eat the gouge. Completely bandage. Go in for a cheap shot. Mutilate into a full kidney shot. Now he will trinket that. I will evasion here instantly, guys. Mutilate again, gain a bit of distance, get behind him. I will trinket that stun, eviscerate, and he will go down. Now in that scenario, things did not go according to plan, but you can still recover. Next up, guys, we have hunters. Now for hunters, guys, you are going to want to open up with a cheap shot, mutilate, and we will go in for a full stun here. Now he will scatter shot us, guys. Now you never want to trinket scatter shot. He will use frost trap on us. Now, I do not have my trinket on me. I luckily do vanish this, guys, but again, it's not always be that lucky to vanish frost trap. So again, my trinket is on CD, but just take it as if it wasn't. And I did use it on this trap. And you want to trinket the frost trap, guys, vanish. He will flare on our location, which is absolutely fine. We want to sprint, evasion, shadow step on him. Now, the reason why we want evasion early, guys, is to avoid being slowed by him. Going to go in for a mutilate, and between the eyes, and between the eyes does crit for almost 700, guys. We do get interrupted by a feral druid. I do not have anything here. I'm going to have to blind him. We're going to gain as much distance as we can, guys, in order to recover. We are looking just to bandage or eat in this situation. The blind does come off. We do manage to gain at least 70% of our HP back. He will moonfire us to get us to stop healing. We're going for a quick draw. Mutilate, instantly gouge him here, guys. Now we just did that in order to build combo points. And one other thing I wanted to mention that is extremely important. Why did I kidney shot here instead of between the eyes? Now, whenever you need to conserve your energy, guys, you want a kidney shot. The reason why is because kidney shot costs only 25 energy, whereas between the eyes costs 35. But rightfully so, because between the eyes can crit up to 800 damage, eviscerate, and he will go down here, guys. Now, I'll be showing you guys another example for hunters. He does gain distance here, so we are going to have to shadow step, cheap shot to a mutilate. We want to face in front of the pet to avoid taking damage. He will trinket the stun. We will go in for a full between the eyes, and he will go down here, guys. Showing you guys another example, but this time it's going to be a melee hunter. So we want a cheap shot here. He will gain distance. We are going to have to go in for a quick draw in order to slow him. Sprint, mutilate, instantly evasion here to avoid being slowed. He will fake death in order for us to lose our energy, which is a downside. Now we are keeping a dead zone here like we do with warriors, guys. Again, I know we have evasion up, but there is still a chance he can hit us or use frost trap on us. We do not want that. We want to keep moving in a circle. Next up, guys, we have shadow priests. So again, we're going to want to open up with a cheap shot here into a mutilate. He will trinket that. He will fear us. I do use Will of Forsaken here, going for a full blind. Now, guys, I would not recommend using Will of Forsaken. The only reason I did that here is because my trinket is on cooldown. Now, why do we not want to use Will of Forsaken in that situation? It is because Will of Forsaken is a GCD, and we want to instantly trinket, guys, because it does not cost a GCD, and instantly blind him to avoid having being dotted. Now, with the downside of using Will of Forsaken and a GCD, let's have enough time to dot me. Again, guys, you cannot trust the sap mechanic completely because it can break randomly and can get you killed. And with rogues versus each class, it is all about setups. Our sap still holds on, but I do not trust it. I open with a cheap shot, go in for between the eyes, a double mutilate, and he will go down here, guys. Now I'll be showing you guys another example versus a shadow priest. We're going to open with a cheap shot into a mutilate. One thing I wanted to mention that was also extremely important, and yes, I know I keep slowing down the video, guys. It is just because I am trying to explain the best possible scenario to you. Whenever you are fighting a priest and he does use shield, you guys instantly want to open on him. Reason why is because you can break the shield within 2 globals, and he cannot reapply it on himself for 12 seconds, which is huge. Now we will go for a cheap shot into a mutilate. Going for a full kidney shot. He will not trinket that, guys, so we are just going to gain distance, vanish. We already damaged him enough. We already got up to 50% HP. He's going to try to heal, obviously. We are coming back, going in for an ambush. We will blind there. He will trinket that. We will instantly trinket and vanish. Now that is the benefit of not using Will of Forsaken, guys, because it is a GCD. If you use your trinket, you can just use your next ability instantly. So I do go in for a vanish to regain control, come back, go in for another ambush here, and we will go in for a full between the eyes. We are just waiting for the energy regain. I will pop a chicken here just in case. He will shield himself. We are going to go in for a grenade, stun him with that, go in for a mutilate and an eviscerate, and he will go down here, guys. I'll be showing you guys another example, but this time it will be a discipline priest, which is much easier. So as always, we are going to want to open up with a cheap shot into a mutilate, gain our energy, full kidney. He does not trinket this, guys, so we will just vanish, obviously start to recover. We will go in for a ambush, go in for a full eviscerate. Now, one tip I wanted to give you guys, again, this is just my 2 cents and just the way I play an undead rogue. Whenever a shadow priest is extremely low and he still has a few CDs up, it is just a natural reaction, guys, that he wants you off of him. So I will Will of Forsaken here. And for those of you who do not know, Will of Forsaken in Vanilla WoW, whenever you do use it, you will gain a buff where you are immune to fears and charms for 5 seconds. By doing this, guys, I'm giving myself an advantage on time with damage. I do pre-pop it here, guys, predicting that he will use fear, and he does use it. I am obviously immune to it. I will continue pumping here with mutilate, go in for a second mutilate, and he will go down here, guys. We're going to open the same way. I do cheap shot, he does resist. I do vanish again, going for a cheap shot into a mutilate, going for a full kidney here, guys. Now he will use disperse. If he does use disperse, guys, you just want to go in for a full gouge. By the time the gouge is done, he will come out of disperse. We will continue pumping with mutilate, eviscerate, evasion to avoid the homunculus damage, and he will go down there, guys. Now the next example is going to be rogues, guys. Now for rogues, if you guys have not seen my PvP talent build, which a lot of people do not take advantage of, I do go in for 5 out of 5 on Master of Deception and Heightened Senses, and I'll be showing you guys why. So when it does come to Vanilla WoW and Rogue v Rogue, whoever does open has the major advantage. With my talent build that I take on default, it is spec'd for every situation. If you guys have not seen that video, I put it down in the description. My build is basically for everybody, but also fighting rogues as well. So we're just going to wait for energy tick, going for a cheap shot, a mutilate, wait for the energy tick again between the eyes. If he does trinket this, we can just blind him and win, and he will go down here, guys. Now for the next example, it is going to be against a human rogue. We are going to come in for a cheap shot into a mutilate into between the eyes. Now I want you guys to notice something extremely important. Now this can either kill you if you do this wrong. So when you do get blinded by another rogue, his first reaction is that you are going to trinket, making him want to vanish and cheap shot, and when that happens, guys, he will gain the advantage and possibly kill you. So for that reason, guys, you want to give it a couple of seconds to confuse him, instantly trinket, blind. We are going to try and take the flag here, guys, but obviously do not have enough time. So I am going to go in for a cheap shot, mutilate. Obviously in that situation, guys, when you do blind a rogue, you're just going to want to resap him and wait for the stun DR. I was trolling here a little bit, guys, because I was in a battleground. Bleed him, going for a quick draw, and he will go down here, guys. Last example for rogues, guys, and again, I would highly recommend you use my build. It is meant for everybody: warriors, paladins, shamans, rogues, every class. The link will be in the description. We will find him here, we will sap him. Now this rogue does an unexpected play. He does trinket, sap last second, he will vanish. Obviously that is a risky move, but he knows that I do not have blind, but I still do have my trinket. So we will find him again, guys, again, because I highly recommend you play with Heightened Senses, and you do play with my build that is designed to beat every class, not just rogues. This is why I keep mentioning you need to be taking 5 out of 5 on Master of Deception and Heightened Senses. It's basically all over, guys. Next up we have mages. Now for mages, guys, I would highly recommend only opening with ambush. Now why do we want to open with ambush instead of cheap shot? It is because it gives us an insane amount of leverage and damage against him. So we're going to open up with a ambush into a mutilate. We're going for a kidney shot. He will blink. We will use shadow step. He will use living flame on us. He will ice block here. We will just vanish. Living flame will get us out. We want to use sprint here in this situation to avoid taking damage. He will use deep freeze on us. Now this is extremely important, guys, and something I wanted to mention. Never ever want to trinket anything other than deep freeze, guys. Now why is that? It is because the mage can literally one shot you within that 5-second stun. He can just use frost firebot and ice lance you and use living bomb and basically just kill you. You can just use it to reset, sheep you, and just get away. So sadly we can no longer afford to trinket polymorph anymore, guys. We have to save our trinket only for the stun, and I cannot stress enough about that. If you trinket anything other than the stun, you will lose, guys. Now for the next example, guys, something else that is extremely important. I know I keep mentioning that there's extremely important points. It is just because each rune means something different and the way you open on your target. So in this scenario, guys, this mage is playing with something called chronic preservation. Now what is chronic preservation, guys? It is basically a one-tap heal that can heal a mage from 10% HP to 100% instantly. So what we're going to want to do, guys, is just sap him. And how do we know if he has that rune on? If you guys look closely, his hands are glowing. That is the chronic preservation rune. Now why do they use it prior to the duel, guys? It is because there are some unexperienced rogues who will just open on a mage instantly like that. And once they do ambush and the rogue does lose part of his energy, the mage will just instantly heal and control again and kill the rogue. We are going to come back in because chronic preservation did end. We are going to go in for an ambush. Ambush does take out 30% of HP. It does break ice barrier here. He will gain distance. I will go in for a vanish cheap shot. He will obviously blink that. I will just shadow step. He will use living flame on me. Go in for a full kidney. Go in for a mutilate. He will try to slow me. He will ice block this. We have our blind ready in case he does come out. We will just have to keep running here, guys, to avoid the damage. We're going to go for a blind. We will start the bandage, and it is all over, guys. Now, for the next example, this mage is not playing with chronic preservation, so we can just open on him normally. We're going to want to ambush. It breaks the ice barrier instantly. He's going to Frost Nova us here, and one tip, guys, Frost mages can only deep freeze you, which is the 5-second stun, if they do root you first. Root us, use deep freeze. Again, this is something we are going to have to take off. We cannot afford to take off sheep if he does manage to get it. We go in for a kidney shot. He will blink. We will shadow step. Go in for a mutilate, just dump damage on him. He will ice block early. Go in for a full blind, in which we have to respond with a vanish in order not to get slowed. We're going to come back in, shadow step, go in for an ambush. It does crit for 1182. Again, guys, this is why I am telling you to play with my build. Our next example, guys, is going to be druids. So we're going to start off with a feral druid. So you are normally going to want to open with a cheap shot, but this druid is sprinting away, so I'm just going to quick draw to slow him. Go in for a double mutilate, gain a bit of distance here. He will change into bear form. We're going to go in for a full kidney shot, and you guys are just going to want to dump energy on him while he's in bear form and then instantly back away. Now, my mistake here, guys, is that I get a bit too greedy and I do not back away in time. And he does manage to land bash on me, which is my mistake there. I should have gained distance. Now, there is another druid in the distance. If you guys can see, that is topping him off and healing him completely. So I am going to back away here. I'm going to keep a bleed on him so he does not re-stealth. Going to gain max distance here to draw him away from the healer. Go in for a quick draw to control him. Druids are extremely scared about losing their mana, so they will try to avoid shape-shifting as much as they can in order to preserve that. So we are just going to gain distance here. We're going to instantly vanish, going for a cheap shot, mutilate, going for an eviscerate here. Now, why did we not kidney shot there, guys? It is because he is in cat form. If he's in cat form, guys, he will be extremely squishy. Into bear form here. Again, we just want to keep gaining distance here because he is in bear form. Now, one trick that I have that I recommend you guys use is by gaining max distance and tricking the druid into changing forms and making him comfortable. So the druid is in max range now. To make him comfortable enough to change forms, he will change forms. He will go in for an innervate. I will just use between the eyes at a distance and come back in, and it is all over, guys. Now the next example is going to be a boomkin druid. We are going to come in, cheap shot, mutilate, wait for the energy tick, full kidney there. If he does decide to trinket this, guys, you can just go in for a full blind, and this druid will decide not to trinket this. We will just continue pumping damage on him. Cheap shot into a mutilate, into an eviscerate, and he will go down here, guys. Next up, we have warlocks. For our first example, it is going to be a meta warlock. Now, I am not going to lie to you guys. When it does come to meta warlocks, and if you are playing a sub rogue, you will be losing this 90% of the time, guys. I am not going to lie to you. Reason why is because the amount of armor they have and the amount of utility they have at their disposal. When they are in meta form, rogues can barely crit anything with mutilate and eviscerate. The max crit that I have been getting, and I am well geared myself, guys, I've only been able to crit them for 200 to 300 damage because it is mathematically impossible, guys, to deal that much damage to a meta warlock because he can just eat everything that you throw at him, and by the time you regain your energy, you would have already been dead. So I am going to show you guys the most efficient way to beat these guys if you're not an assassination rogue. Again, it is a 90% loss. You will have to have everything go right. You will have to have everything go in your favor. It is just Blizzard. They messed up this mechanic. Now we are going to go in for a cheap shot. I am going to summon a chicken here, guys. Again, I'm trying to DPS as much as I can. I am going to pop evasion quite early to avoid any of the pet's damage. Go in for a double mutilate. Go in for a full kidney shot. He is playing with an immolation aura, guys. If you guys do not know what that is, it basically deals fire damage up to 40 damage for every 1 second whenever you are near him, so it is scary for a rogue to go near a meta warlock like that. We are going to gain distance here, guys. Vanish completely. Now the warlock is going to take advantage of my chicken. He will start to life drain it in order to recover. We cannot allow that to happen. I will have to come back in, guys, and the reason why we ambush there, guys, and not cheap shot is because of the stun DR. He does use death coin on me. I am instantly going to have to trinket this, guys, to avoid being life drained. Instantly blind him there. Use preparation. Gain distance. He will trinket the blind. I will vanish here instantly, guys, and I am just waiting for the energy regain, waiting for that stun DR to come off, and I do not want him to eat here. We're going to have to stun him here. Sadly, guys, I do come out from the aura between the eyes, going for a mutilate, and he will go down. Next up, guys, we have a destro warlock. So what we're going to want to do here, guys, is go in for a cheap shot, instantly evasion to avoid any of the pet's damage, mutilate into a full kidney. Now whenever he does bubble like this, guys, what you want to do is you just want to go in and blind here. He will trinket, he will instantly death coil it. I will trinket that death coil, going for a full blind, and it's pretty much over here, guys. Now all you want to do is play the waiting game, use bandage, completely top yourself off, go in for a sap, just wait for the bubble to come off. Once the bubble does come off, guys, you're just going to want a cheap shot. He does not have a trinket anymore. Go in for between the eyes, go for a double mutilate, and he will go down here, guys. For the final example, guys, for warlocks, it is going to be an affliction warlock. Now this affliction warlock is playing with a succubus, so cheap shot, instantly pop Will of Forsaken to avoid being charmed by the pet, evasion to avoid being hit by the pet, go in for a mutilate between the eyes. We still do have our trinket in case he does decide to trinket and death coil us, a double mutilate, and he will go down, guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's the complete guide for phase 3 for rogues. If you did enjoy this video, guys, I would really appreciate it if you guys could leave a like. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. As always, thanks for watching.